Welcome to One on One on God 101. Our guest today is someone I've been a fan of for a very long time, Tracey Bregman, aka Lauren Fenmore from The Young and the Restless and The Bold and Beautiful for a number of years. Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be with you, Julie. Thank you for having me.
We have a lot of ground to cover, but first, I want to know, and you also started a recent roundtable talk show called God's Table
God's
with
Table
3
Hollywood.
yes, Hollywood with 3, girlfriends. So tell me about your relationship with God. Were you raised, in a home where you had to go to church? And tell me about the origin story.
So I was not really raised with religion. Uh, I I had an experience which we all talked about on God's Table Hollywood on how we found God. And the night before my grandmother passed away, I lived in London for the first 10 and a half years of my life. So we lived in this two-story flat, and my bedroom was on the top floor. And all the pigeons used to congregate outside my window. And the reason I tell you this is I was sleeping one night. My grandmother had been sick, but I did not know we were at the end, nor did my mother. And I'm 10 and a half years old. I look over to my bedside table and I see a white dove. And in my 10-year-old mind, I thought, oh, maybe one of the pigeons came in. And I looked up and there was a man standing in my bedroom. And he started to speak to me. I sat up in bed. I tried to scream and nothing would come out. And all of a sudden, I was listening to what he was saying and I felt washed with peace. I felt myself lie back down and go to sleep. And I woke up to find that my grandmother had passed.
Wow.
Now, I know that's a wild story to say, how did you meet God or Jesus? But that was my introduction. And I never told that story for probably over 20 years of my life.
Why?
I wasn't sure anyone would understand what I witnessed,
Do you
but
remember?
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I felt like it was my private relationship with God. And I had a connection from that moment. I've always been considered myself very spiritual. I've always spoken to God. The girls will tell you God speaks to me.
Mm.
But the biggest moment in my life was in 2018, and I didn't know what was coming because it was actually it was the end of 2017. There was some calling I had for Nashville, and I came here, and I was driven into a certain area, and I just felt something different. And I have to say that my true walk with God started when I started listening to God. I
Okay.
heard him.
Yeah. So when did you start listening to him and why? And how did you start listening to him? How so?
2018, April 2018. And I know this sounds very silly, but it was um, a calling to Nashville and to move and to change something up. And I did not understand it. I was scared to death to do it. And I kept hearing, that is where you need to be. And I didn't realize because I ended up buying a piece of property that I thought was just going to be an Airbnb. I closed escrow on that September 2018, and my house burned down in the Woolsey fire November 2018.
Wow.
I was being prepared.
Absolutely.
And that I will say from that really started my walk with God. Um, and it's also who you surround yourself with. I went to Catholic girls' school for 1 year, which was very interesting. I loved praying before class because God knows I needed prayer before math.
Don't we all?
100%. So I loved that part of it, but it wasn't part of my everyday life. But now I've been friends with two of the three girls from God's Table. Kim Douglas for 42 years. She was married to Jerry Douglas, who I had considered family on Young and Restless. Um, Diane Cannon and I have been friends. She keeps adding years, and I'm like, Diane, it's been 29, not 45. It's really funny. Um, and then I met Christine Avanti Fisher the first night I went to prayer circle with Kim with Kim at Lavinia, which we have a Malibu prayer circle. And that's when I met Chris and Julie Bennett. And that's when I started to go to church. And that's when God's Table came about. So it was really being surrounded by these beautiful women who have an extraordinary relationship with God and Jesus that really uh, put me in the position I'm in today. And it was a commitment to that relationship from me that really changed everything for me.
Hmm. Why, do you think God was calling you to Nashville? Had you had any connection to Nashville?
No,
Oh,
no.
how s wow.
Except for I do have some long-term friends that moved here, and I hosted the CBS Thanksgiving Day Parade from the Grand Ole Opry one year with Neil McCoy years before, and I saw none of Nashville. I landed, I went to the hotel, went to the Grand Ole Opry, and left. That was it. And one of my long-term friends had an Airbnb that she was redoing. And I said, "Oh, that looks like an interesting idea." And one day she said, because it was a flag lot, "Oh, the property in front of my Airbnb is available for sale. Wouldn't it be amazing if we own the whole property?" So I got on a plane, went to go see her, and I didn't like the property. And she said, "Don't worry, let's go see my friend in Leaper's Fork." And it was Leaper's Fork
There
that
you
really changed everything. I mean, I still drive by or drive through the area because I live just outside of it, and there's just magic. There's magic there.
Now, did you ever find it, you've already you've described yourself as always being, spiritual, uh,
Mhm.
but, when Young and Restless and your schedule was at its height and you were so
Yeah.
busy with that, did
Mhm.
you find it hard to, bring God, you know, at the forefront? Because Hollywood isn't known for being the most welcoming, like, "Yeah, let's all gather together and talk about God," especially not Jesus, right?
Right. I think that's sort of changing. People are not afraid to be talking about their faith now, but I would say at the height, I still had my connection to God, but not like it is now. And I every morning do what I call my dog God walk, um, dog and God.
Yeah,
And that's when I either listen to scripture, I listen to prayers. It's when I talk to God. It's when I'm in nature. There's something about nature for me that brings me closer.
and that's why you have your favorite scripture on a dish towel behind you with a bird, and what
Yes.
does that scripture say?
It says, "Be still and know." It's my favorite, or my absolute favorite. And I really use that in my everyday life. Whether I can't tell you how many times I've said in the past, when I don't know, I do nothing. But now I be still and know that it's all going to work out, that God's got it.
Yes.
And there's a peace in my head, in my heart, in my body, knowing that God's got it and it will come.
Right, when we're at our weakest or, like, frozen, that's when he does the work.
Mhm, mhm.
Alright, how did God's table come about?
Well, um, the four of us decided to go to dinner at the Polo Lounge at the Beverly Hills Hotel. and we were sitting around a table, and the, I think it was Diane who was telling a very interesting story of her childhood because of the interfaith in her family. And she had a Jewish parent and a Catholic parent, and the fights that would go on. And I hear God say to me, God's table. So they're talking, and I'm in a sidebar with God going, what? What's God's table? Thank God no one was looking, because I'm literally going, what? And I just hear, s-
Oh, we need Tracy back. We've been praying for clear communication. Oh, here you are. You're back. What? Now
I'm
you
back.
gotta you're back.
Okay, I'm back. Um,
And you hear,
and I hear, you know, my AirPods went off, I think. I can
oh,
hear you, but
do
not in here. Oop, let me try this one more time. So sorry. Um,
yep.
to the girls in the middle of everything, God's table. And they did the same thing. What? I said, God's table. And all three of them went, that's a show. I said, I think that's what's happening here. And that's how it started. And then we decided to try and figure it all out. And we did.
And how would you describe what the show is? Like, how do you dis decide what topics?
Well, I think for us, because our faith is so important to us, it was very important that we talk from that and talk on subjects and how faith plays into absolutely everything. We sort of call ourselves the positive view.
Right.
You know,
It
because
is.
we're talking, yeah,
It's fun. You've talked about, like, aging, being a woman,
dating.
yeah, life.
We talk about life, but how faith also plays into that.
I love it. And yet you find time to still travel back and forth to LA and, work on Y&R. How's that going?
That's going great.
What preview can you give us about what Lauren's getting into? Because when I was a fan, you were kind of a villain. You were kind
I
of a
love
mean.
that. I I loved those days. Those were so much fun. I wish Lauren were a little edgier than, every now and then they let me be. Especially with Phyllis. They let that part of Lauren come out more. So we have Danny and Cricket's wedding coming up, but the biggest news is December 9th will be Michael and Lauren's 20th wedding anniversary, and they are doing a special episode just for us, and we're going back over the 20 years. So
Oh,
it's really cool.
I love Christian. I can't believe that your 2 characters have been married 20 years.
I
I s
know. Isn't he amazing?
he's such a light. I've interviewed him. He's so positive and just bursting with, energy. I still have you married to Paul.
Right. Yeah, I know. That was hard for the audience. But Christian, I mean, I won the co-star lottery.
Yes. Yes.
He's just
Well,
incredible.
we will be tuning in to, Lauren and Michael's 20th anniversary, and we'll be tuning in to God's Table. Tracey Bregman, I love you. I adore you. Thank you for doing the show. God bless
Oh,
you and Godspeed.
love you, Julie. Thank you so much. God love you as well.